The best of the Bill and Corey Show.
Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show.
Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show.
Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show.
Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, this is the Bill and Corey Show.
Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show.
Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show.
Live from the Icebox Studio in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, it's the Bill and Corey Show.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Corey.
Yeah, welcome back. This is kind of like our Christmas episode because we're going to be, the next 2 weeks will be best ofs.
Oh,
so,
I didn't wear my Christmas tie on. I didn't get the memo.
I got that. No, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't send you that one. This is always, we have a little teleprompter here, and it's always really for the questions and a couple like technical details if we need to have that. But the first one, it just says Corey question, because whenever I see Corey question, I know it's going to be fun. Because the question is just too long to put on the teleprompter.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of whines, and it's got his own life.
Yes. So I had a gentleman call me that was having, flow problems with our regulator. Well, first thing he wanted to do was the regulator that he had was inlet on this side, outlet on this side.
That's his old regulator.
That's his old, as I said, old regulator.
Okay,
yeah, the old regulator he had was running the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And he liked that because that's the way they were running it. He could see the gauges and he could do that. So he wanted to make his regulator also that way. One idea that he had was he wanted to turn the gauges around so you could see the gauges, but you'd have to reach around the back to do it. That's one possible solution.
Yeah.
And I might add that this is a two-stage regulator. So the high points and the low points are important. A single-stage regulator, you can flip it, put them on the back because they have 3 low ports and 3 high ports. But the interstage regulator, or the two-stage regulator, has an interstage port that you can't put another gauge in because it's just going to read the interstage pressure.
Yeah. You could put one in there.
You could put one in there.
Hey, it's reading 350.
Yes. Yeah, so one thing that actually popped in my head that I thought was a pretty good idea, and I want to share with you guys here, is, it's nice. The main gauge is the delivery pressure. That's the one you most care about. Yeah, we want to know how much is left in your cylinder, but you're not checking that. It's this gauge. So what you can do.
Now our regulators our pipe thread is a little bit tighter. You can't.
Oh yeah. These are regulators that we don't. And where's my little tool?
There's your little tool here. No, this plug.
Oh yeah.
That one's loose.
No,
you won't be able to get the other one out.
Oh, but this is interstage. You unloosened the wrong one.
Oh, did I unloosen the wrong one?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Well, then why'd you tell me to go to that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, of course, we can do this for you.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Modified regulator, and we'll figure out how to describe this. But you can put like that. Your inlet gauge from your cylinder is right down here. You can still read it. It's just a little bit annoying, but it's it's a big gauge. You don't have to look at it.
It's empty, full.
Yeah, it tells you it's empty, it's full. This is the delivery gauge that is really important. You want to see what your delivery pressure is. So in this case, you get the right side up view of your delivery gauge, and you just have to worry about the small, and you get your let's see here, what am I looking at? Left to right. Now, and more has, so the guy was also having some flow problems. And I want to add that this is just, do not do this.
Yeah, well, he was talking about loosening a nut.
Loosening a nut, and he called it the 2-inch nut. And I didn't realize he was talking about the bonnet.
The bonnet, the nut's about a 2-inch
nut. So he's talking about the bonnet. So he took the bonnet.
Once again,
out.
You're going to need a really big wrench to loosen it.
Yeah. This is not, I am strong. I'm strong, but I'm not this strong. And so he took it off, and he said, wow, the diaphragm, it's got some weird ridges in it. So he poked it. Don't poke it. And then, of course, So one of the huge problems here is that we're not going to reuse this regulator. Right now, I have no idea what particulates have gotten on this just by being out in the air right now. Yeah. So he put it back on, and then then the regulator, he tried it again, and it was leaking through the bonnet. And so it could be because of particulate, it could be because of anything. It's really hard to take this off with the diaphragm staying in there perfectly and not being able to do anything. So definitely don't do that. It does have ridges on it. It does have, that's part of the design. The guy thought it was something interesting. And then he also asked about the holes in here. So I just want to add the holes because we get asked about this sometime, but there's these little holes, and he was concerned why there's a hole. And so these are weep holes.
Well, which it was on the
sorry.
nut.
It was on the nut, yeah.
Oh, you want
to do the zoom in? So he's concerned about this hole on the nut. He's also concerned about that hole, which I told him was a bonnet vent hole, which it'll leak gas out if it gets past the diaphragm. And this is a little weep hole. And this hole is for...
That's when you
tighten it down, air doesn't get trapped in, and somehow push the, like you could create a pressure.
Yeah, because it's a threaded connection, and you get really high torque. You're talking like 75 foot-pounds of torque on there, a big wrench, and you have problems sealing if you get air trapped in there and you're kind of compressed. There's all sorts of stuff happens. So they have a little bleed hole.
A little weep hole, but don't shed a tear.
Yeah, don't.
Oh, I should probably put the rest of this on, huh?
Nah, just leave it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You go.
Put it back together. No, probably the big problem when you're taking it apart is you could mess up the diaphragm, and once you mess up it is.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's this flexible, thin piece of metal. It's still.
Or you can put the button on the wrong way, but that's fine.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I was just.
And it's
I was
funny
just
to
actually
think-
doing that right now because I was looking at this. I was like, which way does it go?
Exactly.
Intuitively, I would say
So
this
if you
way.
put it on the
but
wrong
has a
way,
little dot.
it's gonna screw up the regulator.
Yeah, and then you're not going to get proper pressure readings or leaks of some sort. And,
Kind of swap
Oh,
out
this
panels on that one.
yeah.
Then we had a customer. This is kind of good. We had one of these being built at the time. They had a customer was asking. Yeah, you want to zoom in on this panel?
Can you get lower? put it down behind the desk. Can you put it behind the desk and still zoom down?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Why there's so much dead space on this gauge? And this is a 9000 series panel.
And what exactly is dead space, Bill? I don't know.
Dead space. That's space that's not in the process stream.
Yes.
So
the gas will just sit there.
Yeah, gas will come. Just hook up the cylinder. It'll come through, and then these are called dead legs or dead space, and part of it, dead space isn't always that good for purging out and stuff. So you're concerned about that, especially in a high purity system. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. This 9000 series panel, it's a semiconductor grade, parts per billion type impurities. So it's welded VCR. It's got all this RA, 10 RA tubing, electro-polished, everything super smooth, very few voids. And the gauge, it kind of sticks out there, and you kind of want, hey, why can't you bring it in closer? Well, it's because this is a VCR connection. I'll kind of turn it. It's not working. I'll hold it upside down. It's a VCR connection, and you got a nut and a male piece, and I'll show you what it is there, why there's such a gap there. Is because you have to be able to loosen the nut. Now this is This is kind of like just a version we had laying around. So this is it's a plug, but pretend this is the part that's on the regulator. So when you take the nut off, you need to be able to slide the nut up. And there's your gasket just popped out. So you need to be able to slide the nut up to assemble it, disassemble it. So that's why you have such a big dead leg on there. And it's just unavoidable.
Yeah, it's not like a quarter-inch FNPT that you can just thread right inside the body of the regulator,
But some people with their systems try to eliminate the use of gauges, and you try to eliminate dead legs. So they might go, I really don't need a gauge there. It's really not doing much for me.